morning, Corporal. Can you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Corporal Matthew Conway. I work for the Gwinnett County Police Department.
And Corporal Conway, can you spell your last name?
Yes, it's Conway.
Thank you. And how long have you worked for the Gwinnett County Police Department?
A little over 9 years.
And what is your current position with the police department?
I'm an investigator with the Special Victims Unit.
Tell us what the Special Victims Unit does.
The Special Victims Unit, our primary goals are to work runaway or missing juvenile cases. We work cruelty to children cases, and then sex crimes, all sex crimes, child molestation, rape, child pornography, stuff like that. And we also work crimes against elders.
And how many years have you been with Special Victims?
I've been on the Special Victims Unit for 5 years.
And Corporal, are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the jury what post-certification is?
Yes. To be post-certified in the state of Georgia, you have to go through a mandated academy. I believe it's approximately 400 academy hours. For our police department, it was about 26 weeks. So we did the basic mandate academy and then an additional advanced academy. But you have to be post-certified through the mandated academy to be a peace officer in the state of Georgia. And
did you successfully complete that academy?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have full arrest powers?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had those full arrest powers your full 9 years with the Gwinnett County Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other law enforcement experience besides working for Gwinnett?
No, ma'am.
And Corporal, are you familiar with the Susana Morales case?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you first get involved with that case?
It would have been around mid-September of, I want to say, 2022.
Okay. And when you were around that time in mid-September of 2022, who was your supervisor at that time?
Sergeant Xavier Biggers.
And was Sergeant Biggers also working that case with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And at what point at some point did you get appointed to be the lead detective on that case?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
That was January of the same year.
So from
of 2023.
Okay. So from September 22 to January 2023, what were you doing to assist in the investigation to find Susana?
At that point, I had just come off of light duty from a heart attack. So Sergeant Biggers at the time asked me if I could assist on following up on tips, or if he received any information that could have potential leads, he would send that in my direction, and I would follow up on it.
Based on your training and experience as an SVU detective, what was different about Susana's case compared to other runaways?
Typically with runaway juveniles, they have close friends or family. Usually, if they don't tell somebody where they're going, there's going to be some form of communication to a family friend or a close friend. Nowadays, most juveniles have some form of social media, and even when they run away, there's going to be some kind of activity through either their cell phone or on their social media accounts.
And did you check that to see if there was any activity on Susana's social media account or phone?
Yes. Jasmine, Susana's sister, provided the T-Mobile phone records to Sergeant Biggers, and he gave that to me, and it showed when the messages and phone calls stopped. And then we were provided with her Instagram information, and there was no activity on any of her social media accounts.
In addition to looking at the phone records, did you receive or review any Life 360 records or documentation?
Yes.
Tell us what those records showed.
So the Life 360 records showed that Susana was leaving the apartment complex that she was in, walking towards her home, and then all of a sudden she changed directions in the opposite direction, going down the road at about 40 miles per hour, and there was a crash alert to indicate a suspected vehicle crash.
And based on your investigation, in looking at the phone records and talking to people, did you determine that to be suspicious?
Absolutely, yes.
During your investigation, did you learn that Susana had smoked marijuana?
Yes.
Did you consider that as part of why this was suspicious?
No.
You talked about you said you got some tips that were received that Lieutenant Biggers, at that time, Sergeant Biggers, directed you to look into. About how many tips do you think that you looked into yourself?
There were several. I know I documented any tips that we would drive out to somewhere for. I know one came in, a friend of and a prior investigator from the DA's office reached out from Detroit about possibly sighting her at a casino that didn't lead anywhere. Somebody at Pigeon Forge thought they saw something that didn't lead anywhere. We got information that she might have been in an apartment in, I want to say Peachtree Corners. I went out to the apartment, identified the female there. That wasn't it. There was a good bit of tips that came to us, but the majority of them went to the family and weren't reported to the police.
And all of those tips and those different locations that you looked at and investigated, were any of those tips fruitful?
None.
You said some tips came to the family. Did you find in your investigation any attempts to get money from the family?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So the family had created like their own post that was like, hey, if you know anything about Susana, reach out to this phone number and contact us. We told the family that wasn't a good idea because historically when families post their own numbers and information looking for tips, there's a lot of people out there that use that as an opportunity to extort the family that's in need. Specifically, I know I talked to Susana's boyfriend at the time who said they received a ransom tip and they went out and looked into that. And I believe the family had received several ransom tips, which is specifically why we wanted the tips to come in through the police department so it would be directly to us and it would negate all of the extortion that comes along with posting your own tip line.
The tips that came to the family, did any of those find any evidence relevant to help us locate Susana?
No, ma'am.
Yourself, did you canvass any locations did you go out to?
Yes.
Which location did you search?
With the Life 360 app, it showed Susana's last location where the vehicle crash was, near an apartment condo complex off Oak Lock Trace.
Yes.
So because of that, the idea was, well, we check that area to see if maybe we might locate her in a ditch or in the woods, or her cell phone, something to that nature. So we went out, we checked, ran basically every vehicle tag we could in that area. We went and I took several members of the unit and we canvassed the entire wooded area, basically from Oak Lock Trace all the way down to the high school, and we checked under the bridges. We checked all of that area extensively.
Did you find any evidence relevant to what happened to Susana at that time?
Unfortunately, no.
And that location in Oak Lock Trace, is that in Gwinnett County?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you talk to any people in that area, to any residents or neighbors or anything?
Yeah, we would like knock on doors and talk to people. I know in the wooded area there was a homeless encampment that we checked on a gentleman there who said that he had seen some Hispanic females recently in the area going towards the school, and it was a common cut through that kids would take to get to the high school, but nothing relevant from that.
At any point, did you use metal detectors as part of your investigation?
Yes, we did.
Tell us about that.
We took out metal detectors and we walked the area where the crash alert came from to try to see if, because of the delay in time and the weather and all that, to see if we might be able to locate a cell phone if it was like a little bit under the brush or had been gone under the mud or whatever over time through the rain and all that, but we didn't locate anything.
Did you locate any clothing or any other personal items for young females?
No, ma'am.
As part of your search, did you at some point use drones or a helicopter?
Yes.
Tell us about the aerial searches.
We requested that our Air One, our helicopter unit, conduct aerial searches to photographs. I believe they used a FLIR camera as well, which that can pick up like heat signatures. Sometimes if we have a case with like a very acute runaway, like, hey, there's like a 5-year-old autistic child that just went missing, we know they're in the area, we'll see if Air One weather dependent can fly over with the FLIR, because it can pick up heat signatures, and there's a possibility, like if there's a kid in the woods laying down, we could see that heat signature.
Okay, so how many times did you do the helicopter?
I believe from what I wrote down, we requested it once.
Okay, and then you said also drones?
Yes, I believe so. We've put in those requests.
Okay. And was anything found during those aerial searches?
No, ma'am.
Did you do any interviews in connection to finding Susana?
I did several interviews.
Did you talk to Axel Zaragoza, Susana's boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you learn was the last contact that Axel had with Susana?
Axel has spoken to Susana the night she went missing.
And do you know about what time that was?
He said he started talking to her around 3 p.m. that day. She told her that she was getting ready to go over to Kelly's. And then he had FaceTimed her several times throughout that afternoon. I believe she got there, I want to say he said she was there around later in the afternoon because he talked to her at 3. Around 8:30 she had FaceTimed him. He said she was changing out her some of her piercings. And then closer to the end of the night, she had told him that she was headed home.
Did Axel tell you if he had heard from Susana after that?
He said,
I'm going to object. It's cumulative evidence at this point. The young man's already testified to all of this in person.
I can move on here. Your interview with Mr. Zaragoza, did Axel tell you anything that was suspicious?
no.
Did you also search his phone?
Yes.
Did you find any evidence that was suspicious that would help you lead to locating Susana?
No, everything on his phone corroborated what he told me in his testimony.
Did you also speak to Kelly Bagata?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she tell you when the last time she saw Susana?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that consistent with the other statements you received from Axel as well as Susana's family?
That's correct.
And did you search Kelly's phone?
I did.
Did you find anything suspicious on that?
No.
Or anything relevant to locate Susana?
No. Everything on her phone matched with what she said and showed that she was a concerned friend.
And was Kelly's statement consistent with Axel's statement as to the last communications with Susana?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also speak to Esmeralda Castilla?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get a phone from Esmeralda?
I did.
And did you search Esmeralda's phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find anything suspicious on Esmeralda's phone?
I did not.
Did you find anything on Esmeralda's phone that would be relevant to help locate Susana?
Not with locating her, no.
Was Esmeralda's statements consistent with the statements you received from Axel and Kelly and Susana's family?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else did you speak to?
I spoke to Axel, Kelly, Esmeralda. I sent detectives to speak to Alyssa.
Did you also get a phone from Alyssa Marvin?
Yes,
And did you search Alyssa's phone?
I did.
And all of these, Axel, Kelly, Esmeralda, and Alyssa, they all agreed to allow you to search their phones.
Yes.
Did you find anything suspicious on Alyssa's phone?
No, ma'am.
Anything that helped you to locate Susana?
No, ma'am.
And did all of the information you saw on Alyssa's phone, was that all consistent with what you saw on Kelly's phone, Axel's phone, and Esmeralda's phone?
Yes.
Did you do any searches on social media?
We checked everybody's social media account we would look into to see if there's any activity. I know we reviewed one of Kelly's TikTok videos where she was posting that she was upset for not walking Susana all the way home.
And was that consistent with all the statements you had received from the friends about what happened that night to Susana?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any other steps as part of the investigation to locate Susana?
My steps were I submitted a photo of Susana as well to one of our crime and intel analysts to run through some facial recognition software that runs it against known prostitution websites to see if maybe she had posted an ad, something like that, because she's a juvenile female. That didn't result in anything. I conducted the interviews. I went through all of the phone exams.
Okay.
I had somebody get the information for Life 360 from Kaya, which was the friend that initially sent the Life 360 information to Esma.
And did you also at some point get dental records?
Yes.
Tell us why you get dental records.
So when it comes to a missing juvenile, we always try to obtain some form of DNA if we can, and dental records on the chance that down the road, if we aren't able to locate them and we do end up finding a body, we can compare dental records or DNA to the body to determine if that is going to be the missing person.
Do you know where you got those dental records from?
I believe Vital Smiles was the one I went to. There was two dentists. Her childhood dentist was, I believe, Vital Smiles, and there's Happy Smiles, I believe, was her current dentist. We tried the current one, it was closed, so then we went to the other dentist, so we had something. And then detectives were able to keep going back to the current dentist, and were able to obtain those records.
At any time in your investigation, did you find any signs to locate her?
No.
At what point did you get off of the case?
So I was lead up until the body was discovered with the firearm. At that point, homicide took over the investigation. I still assisted in a search warrant at Mr. Bryant's residence, but from that point, it was no longer my investigation. It was a homicide investigation.
And your role in searching at the residence, tell us what you did at the residence.
I met with the homicide detectives there. I helped secure the residence, and then I searched Mr. Bryant's bedroom with Detective Carter.
I have no other questions for you. Thank you. Mr. You may have some questions.
Actually, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
May we release this witness?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you're excused. Thank you.
All right.